Jim Graham here for Beyond the Cage, presented by Fight Chicks. On the line, I have a special guest joining me. He will be fighting at RFA19 on October 10th in Minnesota, live on Access TV. He is John Castaneda. And John, thanks for coming on Beyond the Cage.
Yeah, absolutely. No problem at all.
Now, of course, summer's wrapping up here in 2014, so I was wondering, how was your summer?
My summer was great. You know, it was a little bit more laid back than my summers usually go. I usually work full time. This summer I spent a little bit more time focusing on just training. I'm actually a full-time student here at Mankato, Minnesota State University in Mankato. I usually take summer classes as well. This summer I did not. So I had a lot more time to, just focus on what I love, training, staying in shape, staying fight ready.
Now, at Minnesota State, do you wrestle there or just simply a student right now?
I did wrestle my freshman year, which would have been 2010, 2011. However, I could not do both mixed martial arts, wrestling, and then actually all three with school. So I kind of had to pick and choose. I obviously made the right choice. I fell in love with mixed martial arts. That's kind of when I first started devoting my full attention to it, back in my freshman year of college. But yes, I did wrestle my freshman year, and then I stopped wrestling basically for mixed martial arts. However, I still do get workouts with the wrestling team, and then they come in and get workouts with us as well.
Now, what is your degree going to be in when you finish there at Minnesota State?
I'm actually double majoring in criminal law and Spanish, with a minor in social work as well. I want to be a full-time translator in courts, law firms, jails, something in that area where it's not only needed now, but it's going to be needed even more and more as years progress. So it's definitely just a good fallback plan after school. I graduate at the end of this year. After I'm done with school, I'm actually going to just train full time, and give my dream a run for it. And if it works, it works. Then, and if not, then I have degrees to fall back on.
Absolutely, and I got to give you definitely some credit going with the double major. I had just enough time to get through a major and a minor when I got my degree at Bowling Green, so definitely more power to you going for two majors
absolutely.
There. Now, you mentioned obviously you wrestled your freshman year. You probably wrestled in high school and while you're younger, but is there any other martial art that you started training before you got into MMA?
Nothing that's significant. I did do karate, when I was younger. But like I said, it was nothing that I took that serious. It was only, 2 or 3 years, but yes, wrestling was definitely my base, my background. I've been wrestling, ever since I can remember, ever since I could walk.
So what was it that made you take the transition from wrestling to mixed martial arts?
I've always been, I've been a big fan of just the one-on-one, sport, one-on-one contact. It's a lot. For me, I like riding on the pressure. And what I mean by that is, in football, you have a defense to get your back, you have an offense. In mixed martial arts, it's you and you only. So basically what the time that you put into the sport is what you're going to get out of it. I like that. I like, that kind of pressure, I guess you could say. And I work hard, so I like to show that.
Now, are there any fighters that you look up to in particular?
Yeah, there's actually a lot of fighters that I look up to. One of my biggest ones is Anthony Pettis. He's honestly one of the most humble dudes I've ever met. I had the honor of training with him actually, this past spring break. Most college kids go out and party and do whatever spring break. Well, I went to Milwaukee. It took a little road trip. Got some good training over there at Rufus Sport. Got to see, where I'm at right now against, some of the best in the world, if not the best. There's good guys up there, a lot of good guys my weight as well. So it was a good experience. But yeah, Anthony Pettis for sure. He's just honestly one of the most hardworking guys I've ever met, and he's so humble about what he does. He's, right when I met him, he introduced himself. He's like, "Hey man, what's your name?" I was like, "I'm John." He's like, "Oh, nice. I'm Anthony Pettis. Nice to meet you." Just one of the nicest guys, and that's honestly, it's very, I don't know, that that experience kind of changed me.
Absolutely. I've got to meet Anthony as well down in Columbus at the Arnold Sports Festival. Just an awesome dude. And, I was telling him, I've been a fan of you. I remember seeing him back when his first ever fight in the WC in Columbus. And, of course, he signed some autographs for me as well. And any listeners of the show know I always have my Anthony Pettis poster in the background signed as kind of a tribute to him. So definitely down on the Pettis train. Well. Now, of course, we're a little under a month until your fight at RFA19 on the 10th of October, but I was wondering, what are you doing to keep your weight on track until weigh-ins on October 9th?
I've always been pretty good about my weight management. Obviously, coming from like a wrestling background, that stuff kind of like comes along with wrestling. I'm keeping track of my diet, making sure I get my cardio in. I got 2 practices a day. Every other day I'm doing my strength and conditioning. So, I'm staying active. I also live with 2 other fighters. I live with 3 roommates total. All of us compete in mixed martial arts. So that definitely helps. We keep on track of each other with practices, with weight, with diet, stuff like that. So that definitely helps my cause a lot.
Jim Graham talking with John Castaneda here on Beyond the Cage, presented by Fight Chicks, up ahead of his fight at RFA19 on October 10th. And all of your fights so far, John, have been for the Driller MMA promotion right there in your home state in Minnesota. So I was wondering, what does it mean to you to be fighting for an organization like the RFA?
Fighting for RFA is one of my goals that I've always had for myself. We actually have one of my team members, his name is Dan Moret, who, I've been training with ever since I've started training mixed martial arts. And, he's basically like a big brother to me. And when he made it into the RFA, I was so, intrigued by it. It's such a good promotion, big promotion, very well known as like the feeder for the UFC. So it's definitely somewhere that you want to be and put on good performances on. So, it's definitely an honor competing in their cage. October 10th, I'll come ready. I'll come ready to roll.
Now, of course, you'll be making your RFA debut at RFA19 on October 10th, and not only will you have that ability to fight for the RFA, which, as you said, is pretty awesome for your career, but it's also going to be in your home state of Minnesota, so that's got to be even an added bonus to it.
Oh, absolutely, yep. Well, Mystic Lake is a great venue in itself. Now the RFA, the RFA is coming to town. It's going to be even better. I got a big group coming. I usually do. It's literally about 15 miles away from where I grew up, my whole life, Waconia, Minnesota. So, it's right in my neighborhood, right in my backyard. It's going to be a good turnout, not only for me, but all Minnesota MMA.
Now, of course, you mentioned one of your teammates there, Dan Murray. We'll be speaking to him later in the week, but he has his fight against Jordan Griffith on that same card as you, and I was wondering, what do you think about him against Griffith?
I actually had a chance to train with Griffith a little bit at Rufus Sport. I didn't get to train on him one-on-one, but, I definitely kept my eye out just on everybody there. I took notes. I watched everybody. I got to meet everybody. Got to know everybody pretty well. So I think that fight will be a very good one. Griffith is a very, experienced vet. He's young, just like Dan. They both got, good records. They're both well-rounded. They're both at top level gyms with top level coaches and top level teammates. It's going to be a war.
Now, your fight at RFA19 is going to be shown nationwide on Access TV. That's got to be a pretty cool thing, right? Your first fight in the RFA, and boy, it's going to be on TV.
Absolutely. This is definitely the first time that I've fought on national television, which is, very exciting. But it's just another thing. I'm not really looking too far into that. I'm just there to fight, just there to get stuff done, just there to get the win.
Now, you're 5-1 in your career. You got 2 knockouts, 2 submissions, and that one loss was at the hands of Matt Brown, and you get to have a second crack at him here at RFA19, and that's got to be pretty awesome to get another crack and try to avenge that loss there on October 10th.
Absolutely. Matt's a good guy. He's he's a very well-rounded guy. He's a vet of the sport. He definitely, he was a better guy that night. I believe I was winning the fight up until, I got a little bit too confident in my abilities. Started fighting with my hands down, and, I just got caught. And that's the end of that. There's no excuses behind that. Hats off to Matt for getting the win. But on October 10th, I will be showing everyone that, I can be a smart fighter, and that win is going to be avenged.
So this time around, you just got to tighten things up a little bit, and you think that you can get the victory on the 10th? Absolutely.
I know that Matt's a very well-rounded guy. Like I stated earlier, I know he just received his purple belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. He's got heavy hands. He's a vet of the sport. He's a little older than I am, but I believe I'm the faster, the stronger, the more athletic competitor. And I honestly feel like I beat myself more than he beat me the first time around. So this time will be different.
Now, the co-main event of RFA19 is a big fight at your weight class, the bantamweight weight class, as Carl Deaton III will take on former WEC and UFC fighter Jeff Curran. And I was wondering if you had any thoughts on that fight.
Absolutely. Carl Deaton's out of the academy here in Minnesota. I've had the pleasure of training with him a lot of times. Him and Dan Moret are both at the academy now, actually. I'm there as much as I can. Like I said, I'm a full-time student here at MSU. Any chance I get, whether it's weekly, I try to make the road trip right up to the academy, the Mixed Martial Arts Academy. Carl's a good guy. He's very humble. He's had one setback in his life, and since that setback, he's been on a tear. I think he's on a 5-fight winning streak right now. It's definitely a well-deserved fight. He's going to put up a brawl against Curran. I've seen Curran fight. Obviously, Curran's a tough dude, but I think him and Carl, they're going to go toe to toe.
He is John Castaneda. You can watch his fight October 10th, RFA19 on Access TV, and you can follow him on Twitter at SexyMexy135. John, thanks for coming on the show. Really appreciate it, and wish you the best of luck against Matt Brown on October 10th.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for interviewing me as well. It was a pleasure.
Once again, that was John Castaneda right here on Beyond the Cage, presented by Fight Chicks.